Every 30 to 60 days in the U.S. economy, in order for us to not to go in a recession, there has to be at least 70% consumption. If it drops below 70% consumption, we go into a recession. Mm-hmm. So how does the U.S. economy make sure that they are sparking consumption? There is a lead, launch, and sales process. Yeah. Watch. January, top of the year, people are traveling. So they are capitalizing on travel, etc. Top of the year, New Year's Eve, New Year's. Mm-hmm. February, you have Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. March, you're going to have some made up thing on the calendar in March. So normally it's like some traditional holiday, whether it's a President's Day or whether it's a St. Patty's, all these, right? You normally around April time is where you get Easter. Mm-hmm. Right after that, you go into May where you're going to get Memorial Day. Mm-hmm. Right after that, you're going to go into June where you're going to have Juneteenth and several other like local holidays. Yeah. You're going to have 4th of July in July. Mm-hmm. In August, you got back to school. Yeah. In September, you're going to have Labor Day. Yeah. In October, you got Halloween. In November, you got Thanksgiving. In December, you got Christmas.
Sheesh.
That is a launch every month.
Come on, man.
It's just so interesting, especially with Christmas coming up, how much we consume. And I'm going to even go as far as to say how much we've been programmed to consume. Why do you think it is we consume so much on Christmas? We circulate so much money as a society on Christmas. And don't tell me it's about religion. I don't want to hear that. But that's ultimately what this video is about. Christmas is a scam. It's all about consumption, economy, consumerism, the market. We're going to discuss all the ways in which Christmas is a scam. Let's get into it.
You want to get upset? You want to watch something that'll piss you off? You want to see how these big businesses target you and make sure that you'll buy from their companies? Watch Buy Now. I sat here and watched that documentary from beginning to end. And let me tell you something. When I say these big businesses know you better than you know yourself.
I don't know if y'all have seen that documentary. I watched a little bit of it, but it's very interesting. And basically what he goes into is what his experience was like watching that documentary. But the interesting thing is, I don't even think we really know the reason that we consume as much as we do. It almost seems like this insatiable desire for so many people to shop. I'd even go as far as to say it's an addiction and people can't help but consume. And I don't think they really know why. But ultimately, because of social media and the data that's acquired from our scrolling behaviors, massive corporations are able to target our psyche in a way that completely eludes us. And we have no idea what's happening. We're completely unconscious.
Celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. And if you are, you're making a mockery of it. Santa Claus has knocked Jesus out of the top spot. And the merchants who don't even believe in Jesus are busy selling you foolishness, making themselves rich and you poor for another year on the basis of a lie. And that's why they call it Xmas. Because you don't know who it is that you are worshiping. Where did you get this Christmas tree from? What does that have to do with Jesus Christ? And in all your churches, you have this big tree. Look at what Jeremiah the prophet says. It warns you not to follow the way of the heathens. For the heathens go in the forest and they cut down a tree. And they fasten it down and they deck it with silver and gold. Ain't that what you do?
I mean, I don't really know what else there is to say. I don't think that most of Americans celebrate Christmas in the way that they do, with consuming for the purpose of celebrating Christianity. We just have to wake up to the programming. We have to wake up to the conditioning and become conscious and aware of our behavior, of why we do the things we do, of why we behave in the manner that we do. Am I doing it because I truly desire it? Or am I doing it to fit in? Am I doing it because it's a program? Am I doing it because we've always done that? Am I doing it because that's how I was raised? I mean, that's essentially how trauma gets passed down. My parents did it, and their parents did it, and their parents did it. So I do it. It's crazy.
I feel like I'm on a mission to see how many people I can piss off today unintentionally just from speaking. Speaking autistically, maybe? I don't know. So we had this one of my coworkers who came in, we don't see him very often. He's in like a different department, but he was in there today and he was talking about the frustration of not having this Christmas shopping all done. And I was like, well, you could just not participate in Christmas like I do. I don't buy Christmas presents or anything. I said, once I realized what Christmas was actually all about, I just stopped participating. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, but kids. And I was like, oh yeah, buy presents for the kids. That's fine. And he's like, yeah, I know. It's the corporations, it's greed, it's money, it's all of that. And I was like, yeah, so I just don't participate. And my receptionist coworker, the Trump supporter, she said, well, it's Jesus's birthday. We can celebrate that. She doesn't have an accent. I don't know why I did that. And I said, well, I mean, historically, factually speaking, that is also inaccurate. And she's like, okay, fine. So we're just not going to talk about Christmas anymore. We're not going to argue. And I was like, okay.
It's hard to reel it back in once you've exposed your children to Christmas, especially these elaborate Christmases where they're getting 55 gifts a piece and you've spent $5,000 and they've got this experience, right? And then there's that expectation of every year I expect the same thing, if not bigger and bigger. But what are we actually teaching our children? Because love isn't about materialism. And so many of us are confused because we think money equals love. We think gifts equal love. I love you, so I buy you a bunch of shit. I love you, so here's your Christmas gifts. And that's the message that we send to our children. We're programming our children to consume. We don't even realize what we're doing. We're just blindly following the blind. It's honestly the blind leading the blind. And we follow what the next person did. We follow what our family did. We don't critically think about anything. We just do. And honestly, that shit is dangerous because where are we headed? Where are we headed in a world full of people who don't think for themselves, who don't think any further than their neighbor? And it's okay not to participate in what everyone around you is participating in. Like, it's okay to be the lone wolf. It's okay to be the black sheep. It's okay to be the outsider. More people need to get comfortable leading than they are following.
I didn't receive one gift for Christmas, nothing for my birthday. I make it a huge point. I actually am kind of against it. I think that
Really?
Yes.
You tell people not to give you anything?
Yes, I think that it's kind of like gift giving is, especially when it comes around holidays, it's just for the government to make money, just to force everyone to spend a bunch of money. I don't think it really matters what you receive. I think that it just is a way for people to spend so much money that
Get everybody back in the black again. So wait, do you give gifts?
I give, yes. I'm a big, I know.
So you go against your own
I go
advice.
against exactly
so you're a hypocrite.
I am 100%. I am one of the biggest hypocrites. But I think buying bulk, like,
random dumb shit. Yeah.
Like, I think going and me buying, if I had children or someone, 20 gifts, I think that's just, I think it's a scam. I do.
I honestly agree with her ass. It's interesting. She said it's a way for the government to make money. I don't necessarily think it's the government making money. I think it's corporations that really control the dynamic of the system. And I think the government is just the poster child for that. And it threw me off at first when she says that she doesn't promote other people buying her gifts, but she still buys other people gifts. But I think she's on the right track because even just removing yourself from the equation is one less person, right? It's one less person who's receiving this consumption. And I think that part of not wanting to not buy other people things, maybe not for her, but I can see in some that it could be related to people pleasing. I know for myself, my family and I decided that the adults don't exchange gifts, right? But we would still buy cards. And I got to the point where I'm not even buying cards. First of all, them bitches are like $6, $7 a piece, which is crazy. And second of all, it just goes in a drawer. Yes, it's a nice sentiment at the time, but I don't actually pull those cards and go look at them over the years. I mean, I've got hundreds, if not thousands of cards, and I'm really not going back and looking at them after the first day. I might set them up on a mantle or put them on a dresser and just admire them for a month or 6. But honestly, it means so much more to like make something, right? To write something nice on a piece of paper, because that's ultimately the message that you're sending with a card anyways. It's just that I love you and I want to tell you how much I love you. So I say all that to say I experienced a little bit of like people pleasing anxiety when I didn't buy cards that year, because it's like, oh shit, like they're getting me a card. It's only right I get them a card. And then it's like, now are we gift giving and doing things things out of obligation because someone else is. It's like we have to really pay attention to the intention we infuse things with, our why, if you will. But yeah, I like her stance on it. I agree.
Bang on. Absolutely bang on. Why so many people today equate money with love, and it isn't. Most kids would rather have your time than a pile of cheap gimcrack stuff. But ignoring that, for millennia, humans have gathered at certain times of year to celebrate the turning of the year, the festival, everything, all this stuff that is connected to the human experience. And you don't need to spend loads of money, but feast, celebrate. If you have nobody to celebrate with, go and volunteer somewhere. I've repeatedly said that very often the answer is old folks' home. Go and sing carols. Go and dole out sandwiches to rough sleepers, anything like that. Be with other people and do it that way, because it's about human connection. It's not about stuff you can or cannot afford to give. It's the fact that the days are getting longer and you're still alive.
I feel like she said something with that video, and she made a very good point. A lot of parents are out here living through their children for Christmas. They didn't get to experience elaborate Christmases in their own childhood. And so now they're recreating the experience they didn't have through their children. And parents live through children in other ways, but this is a big one. And so when you ask yourself what Christmas is really about for you, and you say the children, is it really about the kids, or is it really about you didn't get that when you were a child and you want to see your kids experience it as an experience for yourself? You're living through your children. That's some shit. And then people say too, it's all about the kids. It's all about like the kids' response, how the kids experience Christmas. So we're letting children lead now, is kind of what that sounds like to me. Because it feels good for children, we do it for them. Because it feels good for the child, we go into debt. Because it feels good for the child, we spend money we don't have. Because it's good for the child, it's a great experience for them, we consume beyond what we need. Because it's good for the child, we now have more things than the house can hold, and now we need storage because we don't know how to stop consuming and let go of things. Since when did we start doing things for the experience of children? Because if you were going to do that, you could let them eat ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you're going to say, oh, but it's one day where they get to have just this enormous thing. Okay, so what are birthdays like? I just think that we need to pay a little closer attention to what's happening instead of just living unconsciously, because it's not about the kids. It's about you, and you're setting the example for them. You're conditioning them. What are you conditioning them to do? What are you conditioning them to behave like? Because do you want that for your children? Do you want the overconsumption for them? Do you want them spending money that they don't have to see their children happy on Christmas once a year, once every 365 days? What type of happiness are you offering them outside of that? What type of experiences are you giving them outside of buying them 50 toys to open one morning? What type of emotional intelligence are you instilling in them? What type of inner validation are you instilling in them, instead of constantly reaching for outside sources to make you feel good about some shit? Like, wake up, people. It's time to wake up. It's time to liberate ourselves from the conditioning and programming that we don't even realize is happening. But that's pretty much all I have for y'all today. I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. I hope that I rocked the foundation of someone's holiday and that they shift into more consciousness and awareness. I hope this brought some value to your experience, to your life experience. I hope this helps you to wake up and smell the coffee, the toxic ass coffee. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs a little wake-up call. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.